Hello everyone and welcome to Jungle Journey. This was my second toy box feature on Disney Infinity 2.0 for the Jungle Book Challenge. This toy box has been remastered for 3.0 and you can now check it out on the community content of 3.0. This toy box for me was really special because it was one of my most accomplished toy boxes in the sense that I achieved many things that I have not done before. For this remaster, I added a few animals around the hub, which we have an elephant, and we have Baloo in a path walking through the entire place. There's also zebras and horses, just so you can hang around in the hub if you just want to. There's also a treehouse here on the top to climb. Originally, I was gonna have a toy box on top of here, but then I decided to scratch that toy box idea. Here you can see my very first block art, which is Kaa from Jungle Book. This block art took me quite a long time to do, and it went through so many versions. Again, it was my first block art, so it was a lot of trial and error. Here we have the three main levels of gameplay. One of them is a racetrack, the other one's a collectible challenge, and the other one a platforming challenge. We're gonna try the platforming challenge first, which is Shere Khan lair. So here we are in Shere Khan lair. We're going to recover King Louis' throne from Shere Khan himself. This toy box features my second block art, which is Shere Khan himself. Dinner has arrived. Anyway, this is actually also the first time I did a side-scroller platforming game. But I didn't really want it to be fully side-scrolling because I thought that after so many minutes it felt kind of boring to just be on the same set of cameras. So now I switch it back to 3D and do other types of platforming in 3D. I do this because this toy box was also my very first time I used cameras on a toy box. Again, this toy box was very experimental for me because I tried out a lot of tools I never tried out before at the same time. Here we have Shere Khan again. You dare defy me? Here we have some pretty neat effects on the pillars as well. This was, I think, also the first time I played with effects themselves. It was mostly about exploring all the different elements I could do in a toy box. Sadly, Boba Fett doesn't have a super jump, so I may need to shit on this one. But in this toy box you can use any character that you desire. I just thought it would be cool to show you a little bit of Boba Fett himself. With 3.0, however, you can create better side-scrolling games in which you can force a player to move left and right without having this big open space that I'm having right now, despite that I'm using a side-scrolling camera. That is something I'm planning to play with a lot in the future on next toy boxes. Here we have another type of camera, which is a top-down view. Some people were not a fan of this camera when I released this toy box, but again, it was just to experiment the different cameras, and in the end I liked it because it was just a little portion to give it a bit of variety to the platforming. A lot of the pieces you see here are from the treehouse buildings, pretty much. Another thing is I use the rhino enemies for this toy box because I really wanted to make sure the theme of being on the jungle was still there. Because I know a lot of enemies turn to be frost giants or symbiotes, robots, droids, etc. So I thought the rhinos was pretty much the more in line with the animal world as a whole. Can you fight well? Here in this portion, I wanted to make sure the player had a little bit of combat in the process, so they can practice their combat skills, level up their characters a bit more throughout the journey. And again, just making sure there's a good pace in the toy box. Here we see a big frontal view of Shere Khan. That block art of Shere Khan is still like my favorite, from one of my favorites that I have done. And here we have the last session of this particular level, where it's fighting a ton of rhinos once again. I kind of wanted to envision like this was an army of Shere Khan of rhinos, and now we're technically like inside his lair where the King Louis' throne is hiding behind that door. Here you can see also in the process some of the cool moves Boba Fett can perform. That's one of the reasons I really chose Boba Fett for this particular video, so you can see a bit of his moves in action if you haven't. Another cool thing about Boba Fett is that he can fly throughout the toy box. Now we're gonna head to our food collector toy box, where we'll be collecting orbs around the trees and taking down soldiers that are trying to burn down the jungle. This particular toy box, I made it so it would be great to play as a flying character, because usually on 2.0 we had a lot of toy boxes that said no flying characters please, and a lot of that stuff. So I wanted to create a toy box where you would feel free to use whatever you want. You can use a flying character here and it helps a lot, but you can also climb all the trees if you want to do it walking instead of flying. I'm using flying right now because it's much more easier for me to remember where the orbs are. This is the second time I create an orb challenge of collecting many orbs. I wanted to make it feel a bit more exploratory, this toy box, with the collectibles. That's why you see that it's a very big landscape to explore. Enemies are spread out throughout the ground. The enemies are the soldiers that shoot arrows, and that's actually pretty cool because sometimes those arrows reach the very top of those trees. So the enemies are always active even if you're flying around throughout the toy box. And I was always kind of excited to create like a big large jungle scope. So that was basically the main idea concept for this particular toy box. But I didn't want it to be all collectibles, so I decided to throw in enemies and give it a little bit of a story to it. There's also some effects that are like the burning jungle as a whole, the explosive the soldiers are leaving to burn the jungle, and here we are taking down the soldiers right now. We need to get a total of 20 points. There is 12 collectibles, and then the other points are taking down all the waves of enemies spread out throughout the forest. Again, to find the enemies is much more easier to fly around the map and you can see them through your radar. I wanted to make sure players also enjoyed using the radar. Here you can also see some of Boba Fett's more complex moves, like throwing enemies in the air, and then when in the air you shoot them down. That's something really cool that a lot of the shooting characters can do in 3.0 for the Star Wars characters. And there's also a wide variety of moves. So we continue to spread ourselves throughout this toy box. That's another really cool feature about 3.0 is that you have a finishing move. After you perform completely your combo, you have a finishing move that can make double the damage of what you were doing on your combo. And it's really interesting how the 3.0 characters have a very range amount of moves rather than just stick with their normal combos or special combos that require special techniques. In the same way that you have to perform special buttons to make a really cool combo in Street Fighter or other games like that, well, 3.0 plays with that if you really want to go hardcore in doing your combat. Or you can just simply beat enemies the normal way as well. So we're now flying around with Boba Fett throughout the jungle and get down the rest of the enemies. Originally, I was planning to make this toy box be a leaderboard challenge of the best time you can get, but you can only do a leaderboard when you have only one challenge maker and only one toy box, so I couldn't have multiple doors connected together at the same time. So we're almost there to finally finish this once and for all. We have some enemies spread around to take down, and then we're done with this one. This is also again another toy box that really helps you level up your characters. That is something I like to do as well, make sure the player gets rewarded for playing the toy box in the process. And we're on the last wave of enemies. Let's take them down. Come on over here. No running away from me. I really love throwing enemies in the air. It's really cool. And the new finish up. Boom.
Only a fool doubts Boba Fett.
Next up we have the racing track, which I originally had called Jungle Rigs Race before and had submitted and had a video done before, but that racetrack was remastered again for this challenge and has a new, it's similar in some ways to the original, but it has new theming to Jungle Book with the plants, and it's definitely a more effective overall racing track than before. So we're gonna start it up now and off we go. I wanted to make sure to have a toy box with a racetrack also available on 3.0 so people can experience some of the new power-up items from Toy Box Speedway. Even though Toy Box Speedway isn't out just yet, you can at least try out some of the items on it on the toy box. And also it's a nice way to try out some of the new vehicle mechanics as well. One little thing I noticed from 3.0 is now the boost pads really boost you up, making you boost with fire and all. Before it was only a minor boost, but now you really boost super strongly now. I'm totally failing right now on my racetrack, but it's because I'm in the first lap and I'm still remembering a few things how to play it, but I'll hopefully do better on the other laps. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure there was a racetrack available. Another new cool feature we have now is that you can see the characters on the top moving, so we can see how close your opponents are, which is I think a really nice touch. And overall, this was one of my favorite racetracks I made on 2.0, so I'm glad I was able to bring it back here as well. the end of this toy box for today. Hope you enjoy Jungle Journey, and be sure to go to online multiplayer community content Disney toy boxes, and to get this box by pressing options on search, type in Sonicphoto and you can see all my boxes including this one. See you next time.